Hi, it's Brian Newman with the Spotlight of Business Owner Show, and today we're thrilled to have Corianna Lee. Hi, Corianna, how are you?
Good. How are you doing
Yeah, good, good. Great
today?
to see you. Yeah, she's got a special type of business that I love. I mean, it's so fun. And she's a balloon twister, or as she once told me, she's a professional latex manipulator. Is that right?
Professional latex manipulation expert. That's what
Oh, okay, okay.
a
Yeah,
twister
I
with a
love.
few degrees behind him.
Oh, wow,
Not
wow.
necessarily in balloons, but
Oh, okay. No, so can you let people know that are listening, how did you get into the business to begin with?
so I got into the business. That's a funny story because I was a starving student at ASU in Tempe. It was my sophomore year of college, and I was majoring in dance. So I have a bachelor's degree in dance. And my parents are like, well, if you're going to live on your own and live on campus, you need to find a job. So I was calling all of the jobs that were actually on the job boards that I found. And they had this little 3x5 post-it card on there advertising to make $10 to $40 an hour as a balloon artist. And I'm like, what is that?
Oh,
So I called the number because I was calling all of the number and calling all of the jobs on the board.
uh-huh.
And they were the only ones who called me back.
Oh, wow.
And I
How,
asked
how
some
long
questions,
ago?
and this was probably about 24 years ago. So I want to say about 97, 98.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that was back when you saw the balloon to artists and all of the restaurants all the time. So they called me back and I'm like, well, if nothing else, I'm going to learn a really cool skill. And they said, well, we'll train you. Cause I'm like, I don't do anything. I'm actually afraid of balloons. And, and they're like, how to do it. And so the first time I was actually twisting a balloon, I'm like holding it out here because I'm afraid I'm going to pop it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's what I
Get
would be
over
afraid
that.
of. Yeah. How did you get over that?
It's just a lot of practice actually.
Oh, okay.
I practiced a lot. And then once I got my first couple of shapes down and realized um that I got more comfortable with it and I started practicing more and more, it became much easier to do.
Oh, did they actually train you?
They did. So my
Oh,
first week I learned 5 shapes
uh-huh.
and to practice those 5 shapes. And then when my trainer came back, I had to pass those shapes off. And then they taught me another 5 shapes and I had to practice and pass those off. So they had to look like something. And these were usually just one balloon shapes.
Oh,
So
okay.
your sword, your dog, your giraffe, those types of things. Um, and then by week 3, you start to figure out that these basic shapes actually can build and you can actually start to do bigger and better things. So after week 3, I had learned about 15 shapes, and the trainer says, you're ready to go into the restaurants. And what? Okay. So I remember my first night, I was shadowing my trainer. It was with a company called Balloon Attractions. I don't even think they're around anymore. Because I worked for several different companies, basically as an independent contractor. And that's what we were called at the time. So I went in, it was Garcia's down in Chandler. And I remember, they told me they're like, we want you dressed up. You need to wear the white shirt, the black pants, like a professional server. You can have a little bit of flair. You can wear a balloon bow tie, but we want you
Uh-huh.
really nice for these shows, for these restaurants. And they're like, and then they taught me, I shadowed my trainer for a couple of nights, but I remember that first night. And so they taught me how to approach a table, ask what the timing would be. And usually it was, you want to try and catch people right after they've ordered, while they're waiting for their food, but after they've had drinks. And of
Oh,
course,
okay.
even though you're not an employee of the restaurant, provide customer service. So if somebody's asking you for drinks or something, find someone to help them ASAP. So they taught me how to do all of that and to kind of read my customers. And so after a few nights in there, they said, okay, you're going solo. So I remember doing my first night as a solo. And even that first night that I was training, they let me keep my tips, which I was really excited about because I wasn't sure they were going to let me do that because that was somebody else's shift.
Oh, oh, okay.
Because we were working strictly for tips. In fact, usually if you see a balloon artist now and they're wearing a tip button, 99% of the time they're going to be working for tips, unless they're hired by a corporate or it's a birthday party or something like that. We'll usually tell you when we're not accepting tips and that
Oh, okay.
paid.
No, Boy, that's quite a start. No, really.
Yeah, so so I started off in the restaurants. I didn't get my first birthday party till about a year later when I was working with another company as well. So
Oh, okay. Wow. No, and that leads into my next question. How big or small of an event do you take on?
so I have done very small birthday parties where I've only had like 2 or 3 kids and I'm there for an hour just making them whatever they want while
Uh-huh.
while we're there. And I've done huge corporate events. I did a wedding at the Biltmore my when I was in college, where I was lucky my prom dress still fit because they really wanted me dressed up and I had to go get my hair done and everything else. And they hired me for like 6 hours to stand at the kids' table at this huge reception at the Biltmore and just make balloons.
Oh,
And that's all I did. And it was so much fun. So that was huge. They had, I want to say like 700 people at this wedding reception. It was so huge. So there
wow.
was about
Wow.
100 kids there. So it kept me busy.
Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but I mean, even adults love,
How
I love
appropriate.
that. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a kid to appreciate what you do.
It's
I just
true.
love, and I know you were at an event of mine a week ago, and I was like mesmerized just watching you, twist the balloons into a figure, and speaking of that, I mean, are they like how many figures do you create? The animal
Well,
figures only, or do you do other?
no, I actually do things. I do your simple balloon shapes like your swords, your dogs, your giraffes. I can do very simple things from one balloon. And then I can do things that take like 6, 7, or 8 balloons. I've done a little bit of sculpting, but that gets really huge. So I can do anything from like a sword all the way to a Bugs Bunny that takes like 8 balloons to it. And
Oh,
it's huge. And the more balloons it takes, the more time it takes to sculpt. So when I've got people waiting, I have to stick to the smaller 2 to 3 balloon stuff. So that way I
uh-huh.
get to everyone because I don't like to keep people waiting if I can avoid it. But if it's a
No,
slower event where it's a small birthday party and I can spend some extra time
uh-huh.
on, I like to do that too. So I can get
Uh-huh.
something that's probably almost the size of a toddler if I really spent my time on it.
Okay. No, so again, for the viewers that are listening to us, yeah, we're talking to Corianna Lee. Am I saying that right? Corianna?
Uh-huh. Yes.
Okay, what's the best way that they can reach out to you?
So I have a Facebook page called Party Animal Balloons, and I'm also on Google, and you can reach me through both of those pages, or you can call or text me on my cell number that Brian has so graciously posted behind him at 520-450-0629.
Oh, okay, okay. No, and how much notice do you need in advance?
That's going to depend. Usually the more notice, the better. I do also have a second job. Actually, I have a day job. This is actually my second job. So I do run a theater, and so that also requires a lot of weekends. So the more notice, the better, so I can work around my theater schedule. But I had somebody call me last week, the day before, and said, "Hey, this is a last minute thing. Do you happen to be available?" And it
Uh-huh.
was the afternoon, and I had availability. So it's going to depend on what my availability is. And
Oh, okay.
I also had somebody who called me last week that unfortunately I was already booked for another event, and that they called me because their water slide had canceled because of the rain, and they were
Oh,
trying to find some other party entertainment. And unfortunately, I was already committed to another event at that point. Actually, it was your event I was committed.
okay. Oh,
So I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
oh, wow, wow.
So, but yeah, the
No,
more advanced, the more notice, the better. And if I can't cover it, I
uh-huh.
I'm part of a network of balloon twisters, and I know plenty of really good professionals that I'm always happy to refer people to if I'm not available to cover it. So that way I don't leave you high and dry, and I help you find that entertainment if I can't provide those services for you.
Oh, okay, okay. And how far do you drive, like for an event? I know you
I will
live,
drive. Yeah,
yeah.
I will drive just about anywhere almost. I do cover mostly Maricopa and Pinal counties. I'm located in the Queen Creek area. But usually when we have a party, if it's more than an hour drive for me, usually I ask for a 2 hour minimum. So I will go up to North Phoenix. I've actually done events up in Flagstaff before where they've blocked me for an entire day. So a
Oh,
festival or something like that, I'm willing to go to. So if it's a big enough event, I will go all over the state, but usually for birthday parties that are going to be 1 to 2 hours, I stick to Pinal and Maricopa counties for the most part.
Oh, okay. And I know we got through the pandemic, it was upon us for a long time, and who knows, it sounds like it's coming back, but do you do anything on Zoom? And how did you get through the pandemic during this time? I'm sure there
Oh,
weren't a lot of parties during that period.
two great questions, actually. So I've offered to do things on Zoom, but nobody has actually done it. I do know some other twisters that have done that. However, I have actually, during the pandemic, I had people who would do pickup orders. So I did some pickup orders where they would they would see some of my shapes on my Facebook page or my Google page and say,
Uh-huh.
I need this, or they would put in some special orders. We want to celebrate my daughter's birthday. She's all into unicorns and we want to make it special, but we can't have a party. Can you? So I would actually do some pickup orders. And so
Oh, I
I
see.
would make the stuff in advance and then I'd meet up with them, kind of like you do when you do the buy, sell, trade and the offer up. I would meet up with them and drop that off. And so I would do that. And I'm still doing that. I actually did a couple pickup orders about 2 weeks ago for a birthday party that they didn't want they didn't want a person there, but they
Uh,
wanted to have the balloon shapes there. So it was a unicorn baby shower. And so I did unicorns for all the party guests and bagged them and dropped them off at the address they gave me. It was nearby. And so we did that. For
that's cool.
the pandemic was interesting. My new local neighborhood had started doing food truck nights. And so I actually went up and I had masks made with my logo and everything else on it. And I carried sanitizer. And I would actually go out to the food truck nights because they were outdoors. And I was actually
Oh,
working
yeah.
the food truck nights at my local neighborhood, and started doing that for tips just to kind of start getting by. Um,
Oh,
Actually led to a couple parties later on that they'd seen me at food truck night and picked up my card.
oh, really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they booked me for parties later on when some of the restrictions lifted. So that actually ended up being a really good event for me. Some nights, like working for the restaurant, some nights the tips were good, some nights they weren't. And
Mhm.
but I was doing events like that. I was looking for outdoor events where I could do safely with fully masked and sanitizing between customers. And then when the birthday parties started opening back up, started picking back up on birthday parties and other events such as vendor events. I've done some big trade shows too where I've had a booth. Usually I like
Oh,
for it and be mobile and be able to go around and talk to people.
uh-huh.
I get stuck in a line with a long line of kids and people find me there. That works too.
Oh, that's cool. No, so yeah, can you let people know again how to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so Party Animal Balloons on Facebook and also look us up on Google. And then again, my number 520-450-0629. You can feel free to call or text that.
Oh,
So
okay, okay. So any last words of advice for the viewers?
words of advice, make sure when you're looking for party entertainment, you want to make sure that you're looking for vetted party entertainment because people can claim to be balloon twisters and they're not very good. You want to ask to see pictures of their work. Ask them how much experience they have. In my case, I have over 24 years of experience. And the
Wow.
professionals I recommend are not just twisters, they're people I have actually worked with in the restaurants or with other companies, and they have 10 to 20 years experience of their own as well. Also, not all your balloon twisters are going to do decor. I get a lot of requests for decor.
Uh-huh.
Don't do that. You want to look for somebody that's a CBA or a certified balloon artist. A lot of the twisters I work with actually are CBAs. I am not. I stick to just twisting and entertaining. But again, I'm always happy to refer people and I do know people. So if that is something you're looking for, feel free to reach out. If I can't help you, I will direct you to somebody who can actually help you.
And I know, you were at my event last week, so I know exactly, you do a great job. All I can tell you, you were like the hit of the parade, and no, thank you again for coming out there and entertaining everybody. So, well,
It
thanks
was
again.
fun. I got to meet some great people, and that's half the fun of my job is just getting to meet great people, whether
Oh,
they're
yeah.
vendors or whether they're other vendors.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I really love what you do and keep up the good work. So, thank you again, Corianna. We'll
Thank you.
see.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.